Good day, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of the Killing Floor 3-player movement video. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, I highly recommend watching it now, as it gets referenced in part 2. It is only 6 minutes long, so it won't take much time. A few remarks before we begin. I'm playing with FOV setting to 110. If you had different settings, your perception of speed would change. At 120, it seems that you move much faster due to the skewed perspective. I'm not saying that you should change your field of view, it is personal preference. Just keep that in mind when comparing your gameplay to the video. However, I highly encourage you to disable the camera bop, as it is messing with your FOV. It increases field of view on each slide or dash, making it feel quicker than it actually is. We don't need those fake effects. I want to thank all commentators in part 1. Your feedback was very helpful, I learned something new and it encouraged me to make this video. Today we add the dash to the equation. The first mechanic is SR40D. I will explain the naming later, let's start with the mechanics. Hold the sprint, forward and right keys while looking slightly to the left of your desired movement direction and continuously press the dash key. In other words, it is diagonal dashing. You can also do it in the opposite direction, hold the left key while looking to the right. For this and the following mechanics, I recommend binding the dash key to a mouse side button, since you'll be clicking it a lot. Previously, I had the dash bound to the control key, but I could not feel my pinky finger after a few laps, so I rebound it to mouse 4. Now let's talk about the name. I took SR40 from the original Doom, where players moved 50 units per game tick forward and 40 units to a side. Combining both of them by simultaneously pressing forward and strafe keys increased the player movement speed to 64 units per ticks, or by 28%. SR stands for either strafe running or strafe right, depending on the context, and 40 is the side speed that Doom players add to the movement. There is also SR50 in Doom, but that's irrelevant to our topic. D stands for dashing, hence SR40D is an acronym for strafe running with dashing. We could call it simply diagonal dashing, but imagine somebody asking, "What are you doing?" If you answer dashing, they might reply, "Dude, you made too many typos in word fapping." But if you reply, "I'm performing SR40D," they might say, "Wow, can you teach me?" Never mind, I'm just kidding. Nobody will ask you anything since there is no chat in the game. Enough theory, let's see the results. SR40D has shown an average lap time of 47 seconds, only 1 second behind strafe jumping. Moreover, I made one lap in 46 seconds, exactly matching it. Also worth mentioning that all lap times were measured with 1 second precision. If we divide 1 by 55, we get roughly 2%. So every result should be treated with plus -2% precision, making SR40D equal to strafe jumping. So you may choose one that fits you better or even use both. For example, use strafe jumping on straights while SR40D in corners. The next movement is dash slide jumping, which was suggested by multiple commentators in part 1. Instead of straight advancing from a jump into a slide, you add a dash in between. In theory, it makes sense, given that jump is the slowest one of the three, so adding dash proportionally reduces the time spent during jumps. However, it is much harder to perform, and the sprint bug occurs if not then every second slide, resulting in a crouch. Maybe it needs more time to master, or perhaps I'm too old to handle that. But I couldn't complete even one lap without mistakes. I played 3 maps, ran over 20 laps in total, and these are the results of the best ones. It is not worth it, in my opinion. However, you may try it at home and maybe you'll do better than I. Next comes slide dashing. The idea is to cancel slides with dashes instead of jumping, since jumps were made slower. First I tried combining SR40D with sliding. At the end of the slide, I performed a diagonal dash to cancel the slide's velocity drop. The problem was that it triggered the sprint bug way too often. I had to either delay this subsequent slide to ensure the sprint, or risk crouching instead of sliding. Both cost time. Fortunately, the solution was proposed by our hero of the day, Drunk Bunny 94. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome SD90. In SD90, or slide dashing and 90 degrees, we cancel the slide by rotating 90 degrees from our movement direction and performing side dashing. At the very end of the slide, rotate 90 degrees to the left, release the forward key and press right and dash. Then quickly rotate back and press forward and crouch to slide again. And of course you can turn to other side as well. The benefit of side dashing is that it doesn't break your spring. Well, at least it doesn't break it more often than usual, so you can always keep holding the sprint key. SD90 feel faster, but is it? Or as Drunk Bunny 94 mentioned, a placebo effect for being close to the floor. Let's check the results. Man, being closer to the floor is actually beneficial in killing floor. We scored a purple lap every single time. SD90 has proven to be 23% faster than regular sprinting or 9% faster than slide jumping or SR40D. And I think SD90 can be mastered even further, as I may have left a few seconds per lap due to minor mistakes. You may ask, do we really need that? Is SD90 absolutely necessary to win a Hell on Earth game? I don't think so. The thing is, I don't have any motion sickness, I can spend multiple hours in VR sim racing and feel fine. But even I, after a few laps of doing SD90, started to feel discomfort due to continuous camera rotation. Moreover, it worsens situational awareness. Yes, you are moving faster, but you may also run faster into a Z that you haven't noticed as you were rotated sideways. I still think slide jumping or SR40D are better suited for general movement. Use SD90 when it's absolutely necessary, for instance when running away from the boss. Still, it is better to master the skill, and who knows, maybe you'll find it acceptable for everyday use. Or imagine all your teammates are dead, you're running away from a raged queen that is about to eat you, and suddenly you switch to SD90 and escape. Your buddies will come in their pants from the impression of your superior skills. The bonus question to answer today is, what if you perform the advanced movement techniques while holding a weapon instead of the knife? For instance, if our gun is empty and there is a rage scrake behind us, should we switch to knife to run away, or can we continue with reloading and compensate for reduced speed with a better movement technique? Let's find out. We already know that basic sprinting with a weapon is 18% slower, plus minus 2%. I suspect the actual value is 20%, the same as in KF1. I ran one lap for each of three of our favorite techniques. I think one lap is enough since we don't need high precision as we use it only in emergencies. Slide jumping with a weapon required 55 seconds to complete the lap. It is exactly the same as the basic sprinting with the knife. SR40D took 57 seconds or 4% slower. Also, I've noticed the sprint bug occurred more often while dashing with a weapon compared to the knife. SD90 is still the champion. SD90 with a weapon is still 11% faster than basic sprinting with the knife. It is nearly the same as slide jumping or SR40 with a knife. While you may use slide jumping or SR40 as a general movement technique, I suggest switching to SD90 when you need to reload in a hurry. Given that the players who haven't watched this video are either simply sprinting or noob sliding, you can outrun them even while reloading. A pro tip: when you and another guy are running from a bear, you don't have to outrun the bear, it's enough to outrun the other guy. That's all what I want to say today, thanks for watching and see you next time. Meanwhile, you may SD90 out of here.